to another edition of the Fly Talk TV podcast. This is your boy Rick Love, and today I got a special guest. Now, y'all know that first episode we was talking about the Frosty Rage. We actually got him here today. Frosty Rage! Yay, yay, yay.
Hey, what up?
Okay. Yeah. So, go ahead and introduce yourselves. Let the world know where y'all, like, how did y'all come up with this whole concept and everything? Like,
Ooh, where to start? My DJ name is CJ Do Rage.
okay.
His name was Frosty Ron.
Frosty.
And that's together we are the Frosty Rage.
Yay. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But we met 3 years ago while deployed in Qatar.
Qatar.
Yeah.
For those who don't know out there, let them know where Qatar is.
Oh man, so there's Saudi Arabia, and then there's like a little tiny thumb that's like kind of sticking out of it, like on the east coast of it.
Yeah.
It's like a tiny country. You could fly and see both sides of it, and
Oh, okay.
that's the country.
So, I'm guessing this is military.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Okay. First off, I want to say thank you for your service. Yeah.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for yours.
All right, so let the people know what branches y'all served in.
Air Force.
Air Force, Air National Guard.
Shouts out to the Air Force.
The best one.
Is it the Chair Force?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, sure.
Yes.
I don't get offended.
Facts. Yeah, we fly desks.
That's nice, man. That's nice. Okay. So, how long did you spend in the service?
10 years.
I'm still in.
She's still in.
She's still in?
Yeah, I've been in for 15 years.
Ooh, oh, you going the whole 20? Might as
Yeah,
well.
might as well.
Might as well.
Yep.
You're in what they call in death.
So going back to on how we met,
Okay.
like, because that's a story within itself.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
We I had just gotten to Qatar. I think it was like the day, like New Year's Day, like January 1st of 2019.
2019.
Okay.
Right, yeah, and we had just missed the party. I think they had DJ Jazzy Jeff come
yep,
out,
yep.
come
Oh,
out
yeah,
and like
yeah,
perform.
okay.
So Qatar for the military there. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's like adult summer camp.
Oh.
There is not a lot like it doesn't feel like a military base. They got pools, they got bars, clubs.
Stop
like
playing.
I'm
Yeah.
serious. Like
That's crazy.
I feel like I DJ'd there more than I did anything else.
Yeah.
But when we first got there, there was a I'm already starting with the ums. There's like a British bar,
British
like
bar,
right
yeah.
across the street, and I
Churchill's.
swear that's where I saw her the first time, and I just
Yeah.
remember like Locke, I was like, man, she looks really cool. Like,
I think I had my fur coat and rainbow skirt on that day.
oh yeah,
I was
Just
in my own world.
Like, just interesting. Like,
yeah. So I saw her a couple more times. I saw her in the chow hall wearing like an EDC sweater, and I remember I was like, man, if I see her again, I have to talk to her. Like I have to.
Right.
And that's pretty much exactly what happened. I saw her eating one time alone for like 5 minutes, and I was like, I was at the table with my friends, and I was like, I'll be right back. And they were all like, where are you going? Walked
Yeah.
over and I sat down on my water bottle. And I was just like, "Hey, I don't want to be weird, but I saw you wearing an EDC sweater." And then she was just like, "Oh,
Please,
yeah,
sit down.
yeah, tell me more." And then within 5 minutes of the conversation, she said she was going to a DJ meeting, and I had been looking for somebody to talk to about DJing at the
Right.
place because I knew about it. And then, yeah, we've pretty much been inseparable ever since that moment.
Yes,
That is
as much as we could be, yeah.
this thing
We were like
fate.
little girls, like going to prom, like
just
talking the whole.
jealous.
Yeah, as soon as I told him I DJ, he's like, "You DJ too?"
I knew. As soon as I sat down and we had that conversation, I was like, "Oh man, this is it." Like,
So with y'all, I take it y'all were both in different units. I say.
Oh,
absolutely.
oh yeah.
How was it when the separation happened?
That was tough.
Yeah.
I mean, long distance relationships always kind of suck.
Yeah.
But we kind of worked through it. We had some things like
We were kind of very open
we're
about.
very open with
and
kinda-
realistic.
Yeah, with the situation. Like we feel like we don't want to like
Limit.
limit the other person. Like if we have to be separated, which it's inevitable that we are, especially kind of with what we're doing and where we wanted to go within the military and without. So it was like we're always going to be busy. So yeah, we didn't want to limit each other. So we kind of just like set some guidelines, we'll call it, and then
We're best friends first, and then everything comes after that.
yeah.
That is so dope. Well, y'all hear that? Best friends first.
Yep.
Damn right. Yeah.
Oh,
so, let me see. When where did it start with your passion for music, and then you the same thing?
Okay.
So I pretty much as soon as I was born, my parents listened to music while cleaning, cooking. When my parents would have their own little house parties,
Right.
my dad would turn the headphones into a microphone, plug it in, and then he'd be speaking into it, and then he'd unplug it, and then
Her parents are adorable, by the
yes,
way.
yeah, still
They've been
married
married for,
after
like, 50 years or something
yeah.
crazy. Like they're awesome.
Yeah, and they love dancing, and still to this day they dance. And I've always just loved music, and I seem to date other DJs. And then at one point, I was at a club, and I'm like, man, this DJ is not good. And I told myself, I'm like, I really don't have a leg to stand on if I don't know how to do it.
Right.
So I found this DJ Scratch Academy in Miami.
Oh, okay.
And signed up for classes. It was every Saturday for 6 weeks. So I would wake up early, drive down every Saturday, and then once you're a student there, you can use all their equipment.
Oh, okay.
So I would
You
just
was
spend
getting
all
it in
day
there.
there. Yes, all day. And yeah, and then from there I started getting DJ gigs. Like DJ'd a couple clubs in Tampa, Victoria's Secret store event, and then deployed, finding out how to do it there.
So the very first DJ gig, describe that feeling, that emotion. Like, what was your thought process? Were you nervous? Were you like, can I handle this? Or were you like, bring it on? I'm ready.
Can
I've
I-
been waiting for this.
Can I handle it? Yeah, my first paid DJ gig was at Club Asia in downtown Tampa, and
Shouts out to them.
oh yeah, well they're not there anymore.
Damn.
I think they have an Asia somewhere else. It's like AJA, but they gave me a VIP bottle service. My parents came out.
Oh, okay.
I had a
cool,
whole bunch of
cool.
friends come out, and my equipment worked. That was before USBs.
Right.
So this was about over 10 years ago.
Okay.
And so I'd have my little deck, plug it up, and then my stuff worked, and everybody loved it. And then another guy came after, and something didn't work. And I remember hearing people like, "Bring the girl back." But it's hard for me to DJ because I love dancing so much.
Oh.
So staying behind, it was like, oh, it's a challenge. That's why when I met him and he said he DJ'd, I was so excited. 'Cause I'm like, oh my God, somebody else can DJ so I can just dance.
Okay. It's a good deal. How about you, Ryan?
Oh man, growing up, I loved music, but I was never like into like making or doing anything related to music. I just kind of like to listen to it, and I would like avidly tell people like I am not an artist. I'm not very creative. I played sports growing up,
Right.
so that was kind of like my whole trajectory. Really, like that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
And then after realizing that was never really going to happen, that I didn't get any taller. Eventually, the military came around. I was partying a lot, so then the military kind of was the best option for me. And while I was in the military, my friend Chase, who shout out Chase if he ever
Okay,
gets
shouts
to
out to
see
Chase.
this,
Yeah.
he's the one that really like guided me. He introduced me, showed me a few songs like EDM songs, and I had no idea what that was. I was going to like rock concerts and stuff. Wasn't really into DJing or anything like that, but he showed me some songs, and then him and his wife invited me to EDC New York.
Okay.
And I had literally no clue what that was whatsoever.
Yeah.
I was like, sure, why not? Let's go on an adventure. It'll be fun. And that whole thing changed my life, man. Like that, as soon as we got there, just the atmosphere, the people, the music, I was like, I'm home. Like, this is amazing. So I tried to figure out afterwards. I was like, I want to do this all the time forever. So
Yeah.
I just started doing research. I bought FL Studios.
Okay.
And I bought a little controller and Serato, and pretty much started teaching myself. YouTube University, baby. Just started teaching myself how to do it, and that was like that's kind of where it happened. And then, so while I was in the military, I took classes at Berkeley College of Music online. So they kind
Okay.
of started teaching me some stuff like basic music theory, and kind of just started getting into it. And then I found out that, once I kind of decided to go that way, my first ever show DJing in front of people was actually in Africa.
What? part of Africa?
While I was deployed, the Central African Republic.
Central Africa. That shit sounds
International
dope.
DJ.
In the jungle. In the jungle. There might actually be some videos of it. Like, there was a bunch of little kids. It was fun. Like, the local bar.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's
and,
dope, man.
yeah, it just took infectious. And I was like, I want to do this all the time. So I just started learning about it. And I also realized at that point, I didn't really want to be in the military anymore. I was kind of over it. It was good. It was a good opportunity. It was good, like, life experience. I kind of wanted my life to go in a different way. And when I found music, that kind of like catapulted that. And then I found out the military would pay for it. So then going to get out, started researching schools, like landed on Full Sail, Orlando, everything worked out, back home in Florida, and the rest is history. Here I am.
That's a good deal, man. That's interesting. So you said you was thinking about like getting out of the military once you kind of was over it. You was having a passion for the music. So let's go back to what made you decide to go into the military, because that's not something that everybody can do. It's only 1% of the whole United States is doing this stuff. So what led you to go into the military?
I had nothing better going on. I mean, it's funny too, because like people would instructors would ask me questions or like ask about that while I was in. They're like, "What'd you do before this?" And I was like, "Nothing." And they're like, "No. Before you decide to join the military," I was like, "Nothing." And it's just like you just hopped off your couch and decided this is what I want to do. And I was, pretty much,
That's crazy.
Your friend went to go take the ASVAB.
Oh, that's right. Well, yeah, it was like it was my friend's idea. We were actually drunk at a party one night, like just playing beer pong with each other. And he was like, because I was a cashier working at Lowe's. I had stopped going to college. I was living in an apartment by myself, and all we were doing was partying. So it was like I had nothing going on, like no plan really. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
My friend was like, "Let's join the military," and I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And he's like, "Oh man, I'm serious. Let's do this." And I was like, all right, yeah, whatever, let's go. And I was at Lowe's, which was across the street from the recruiter's office. And he called me. I was at work. He's like, "Hey, I'm at the recruiter's office. Come on over." So I was like, looked at Lowe's. I was like, "Hey, I'll be back." And they're like, "Where are you going?" So I just walked over, and he handed me the pamphlet for the job that I was going to do. And
just like that.
and it was a very physically demanding job. So I talked to the recruiter, and he was cool. Like that, he made it very easy, because he was like, I don't care if you join or not. Like, whatever you want to do.
That's the Air Force recruiters.
And
they're like, people come to us. We don't really have to go to them.
So that was really helpful. And then the job I wanted to do, and he was like, "Oh, it's going to take a lot of like running, push up, blah blah blah." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So I started training for it, and my buddy was like a week later he was like, "My family doesn't really want me to join the military."
So he talked you into going, and then he did.
Yeah, we were gonna do the buddy system or whatever, and he's like, "My grandma doesn't really. She's gonna pay for me to go back to college," and I was like, "I don't really have that option, so see ya."
And then the job that he did do in the military is like the 1% of the Air Force. It's cool.
Like that demanding.
He was a combat controller, which is like the special forces for the Air Force.
Damn.
Which when I met him, I didn't know what that was.
I know.
Which
man,
I
like,
loved it.
I
loved it.
Like when I tell other people in the Air Force, they're like, "Oh,
like he's big shot."
yeah." And so I didn't have that reaction. I'm like, okay.
I don't ever like talking about it, because it always just kind of seems like I'm bragging about it, and I don't ever want it to be like that. It was just like, it was fun. It was a job that I did. It was hard.
And I'll brag for him, because it was a cool job. Like the things that he got issued compared to me being in the Florida Air National Guard, I'm Air Force, and we'll get Army leftovers. So him, on the other hand, they get cool watches and oh my gosh, they're cool uniforms. I took some of his uniforms once he got out, because I'm like, I'm not gonna get issued this. Yeah, he got a lot of cool guy stuff, because you're a cool guy though.
My favorite part of it was getting to jump out of planes.
Yeah.
I know Michael over there doesn't like to jump out of planes. He's never skydiving, but man, that is one of my favorite things to do. I love it.
It's a rush.
Oh man, it's like flying.
Yeah. No desire.
So what led you to go in?
I was in my mid-20s. I had a full-time job, and medical insurance was really high. And I didn't even know the Guard existed. I didn't know that there was a part-time military.
Right.
And I was in Jersey at the time, And yeah, I was like, wait, I could do the military just 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year, and then to get the benefits.
Right. Yep.
Sign me up. Yeah, and then yeah, I was 25 going to basic training as a non-prior, which when I joined my unit after transferring from Jersey, it was almost unheard of having somebody who was a non-prior to join. Everyone that was at the unit, they were all in prior in the military.
Right.
And then it's, they just finished out. But yeah, it was, I enjoyed, I'm glad I joined when I was older because I was a hothead at 18. So I don't know what would have happened. Not that I'm not a hothead now. It's just, I'm a little less hot.
You're still pretty hot.
Yeah.
We jumped over the whole backstory. Where, you got to tell the people, where y'all from?
Oh, yeah.
Originally, born and raised.
Go for it.
So my dad was in the Air Force.
Okay.
I was born in Charleston, South Carolina.
Gotcha.
His first job was Morse Code, and he, 7 years in South Carolina. Then he worked in the embassy in Venezuela.
Damn.
Oh yeah.
That shit sounds interesting.
Well, now you gotta tell the story.
And while I was in Venezuela, yes, we were supposed to be there for 3 years. My dad extended an extra year so that he could then go to Madrid, Spain. In that extra year, Hugo Chavez tried to take over the first time.
Damn.
So we woke up to machine guns going off. The embassy ended up picking us up in a bulletproof car, taking us to the embassy.
It could have went down.
Oh
It
yes,
was going down.
Yes, yeah, that part, yeah, he wasn't successful, which worked out in our favor.
Right.
And then from there we went to Madrid, Spain, which it was super safe. Yeah, my older sister graduated high school there. We went to a private school, and then moved to outside Sacramento, California, to Wheatland. Which going from Spain to Northern California, where I thought I was gonna get surfer boys and palm trees. I got cowboys and pickup trucks.
What? They got places like that in California?
Oh yes, oh yes. My high school had donkey basketball.
Damn.
If you don't know what that is,
No.
it's playing basketball on a donkey.
What the hell?
Yes.
It's like they play other high schools.
It's a fundraiser, so it's like teachers against students, and oh yes, I knew that once I graduated high school, I was not going to live there. I moved to Florida.
Couldn't even imagine.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah, Madrid, Spain, Wheatland, California. It was night and day.
You said you cried, right?
Oh yeah, because we drove across country, and I looked at my dad. Where did you bring us?
Right. This is
The
like
base
not
doesn't
the
even
norm.
have. The base has a barbed wire around it. It's not even a wall. Yeah, it was. Yes.
Sometimes you gotta take the good with the bad.
Oh yes,
Or
it was
bad
a
with
great
the good.
learning
Yeah.
experience. Yeah. And then then we moved to Tampa in 2000 and been there ever since until right now, San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about
We,
you, Ryan?
we talk about it all the time. It's like we had the polar opposite of upbringings together. She has like the storybook upbringing of like
Like a movie.
two parents that love each other.
They
and
never
there's-
fought. They never
fought, they don't
cursed at
cuss.
each other.
Yeah.
They always respected each other, and very supportive parents. Went to all my basketball games, soccer
Yeah.
games. Yes.
That's cool though. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I was born and raised in Florida. It's like I don't want to speak too much on it. It was just very, very kind of chaotic home life. Like my parents split when I was really young, and then
Okay.
we moved to North Central Florida to Lake City. It's like 2 hours north of here. There's nothing going on. It's a little bit bigger than Wheatland, I think.
It's a lot bigger.
A lot
than
bigger
Wheatland,
than
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Wheatland
So
didn't have a stoplight, so.
still not a lot to do though. Like
Right,
there was
right.
like in high school, like field parties were the thing. Like that was pretty
So
much
it's
it.
like dirt roads and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
a lot
I
of
know
like
what you
it's
mean.
country Florida.
I know what
So
you
it's
mean.
like not a lot to do. Just eat, do drugs, and get in trouble. Like
Yeah.
as kids, it's like that was what we did. So I was really happy to joining the military changed my life. So
Yeah.
that was kind of where that went. And then I grew up. I spent most of my days in Lake City, Florida, leading up, and then after high school. I went to community college for a little bit, and then that was kind of. My parents were actually really strict on me while I was in high school, so I was like very, very. I don't want to. Sheltered's not the right word, but just kind of like very limited to what
Yeah.
I was able to do outside. Like I was threatened with lots of other opportunities that didn't sound very fun for me if I didn't do well in
Right.
school. So it was like I was almost scared, like to just do well, like otherwise I was going to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I got to community college, that changed. The reins got loosened a little bit, so I was able to experience life a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then as soon as my grades started to slip, I ran out of money. It was kind of like couldn't really go to school anymore. So then my parents were like, "You can't live here if you're not going to school, and that's not you got to get out." So I got an apartment with my friends, and then it just kind of rolls right into what we've already talked about is partying, and then the military was like the best option for me. So then.
Okay.
But it was really cool. Like while I was in, I got to travel, and I've seen the world. I've been to like 27, 28 countries or something like that. I've been all over the place. I got to see a lot of cool things and experience a lot of the world.
So, okay, let's talk that. Traveling. Name the spots. Like, okay, you named a couple already from both of y'all. I want to know, like the world want to know, where are the places that you guys have traveled?
My favorite place was Tokyo.
Tokyo.
I got to go
Shouts
there.
out to Tokyo.
Yeah, the one thing I loved is everything fit because I'm short, and then all the clothes. I went crazy shopping there. Been to Italy. England,
Damn.
France. When we lived in Spain, we went to Paris for the week as a family trip, and Portugal, and I got to see Africa. I never got to actually go. Yeah, Madrid, Spain was our favorite place where we lived.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tokyo, because their tech side is just everywhere, and I'm a huge like tech nerd. So oh my gosh, and that was back in 2007 or 8, and at that time, yes, they were way more advanced than what we have now. But yeah, and Qatar. I loved Qatar's all their clothes and their pashminas. I went crazy buying pashminas.
Oh yeah, Doha was really cool. We got to go and explore that.
Okay.
Oh man, I've spent a lot of time in Europe. I was on a deployment in Germany for 6 months.
Yeah.
So
Shouts out to Germany.
We were like a response force for like if anything was to happen in Africa, we would kind of like get in a plane. Like they advertised it super quick. Well, we did a couple mock-ups and it was not that fast. But spending 6 months in Germany with one of my best friends in the Air Force, shout out Dustin Temple if he ever watches this. Like I love that dude. But we had a lot of fun there.
What part of Germany?
So southern Germany. It was near France. It was what was it called? Oh man, now I'm blanking. Like Kaiserslautern area, like where what's the base called? I don't even know. Baumholder. Is an army base? There's an army base there. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was where we were kind of stationed out of, and then we would go to Ramstein. That was the air base. So we would go back and forth from there, but mainly stayed in Baumholder. And we had a bubble that we couldn't really travel outside of unless we got permission. But us Air Force guys, we were there. We deployed with the Army, and there were 3 Air Force guys, and the Army had like 3 or 4 like rental vans that they had to share between all 40 of them.
I know how that goes.
And then all three Air Force guys, we all got our individual rental cars. So we had like Audis, Mercedes, and like BMWs. Like we were just traveling traveling Europe as we wanted to. So that was a really fun experience.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, and then. Oh, go ahead.
No, you said Africa.
Oh, yeah.
How the hell did y'all end up in Africa?
Oh man, that was my first deployment. So that was my first trip out of the country, out of America ever. Were you gonna say something?
Well, didn't you go back when you were in Qatar?
Oh well, yes and no. Yeah,
Okay.
that was like leaving Qatar was a nightmare of a situation. Like that was awful. We shouldn't have gone to Africa. We weren't supposed to. We were supposed to go to Ireland. We got redirected.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but no, Africa. So that was fun. That was actually a really cool experience for me. Like getting to see, different cultures outside of America was incredibly eye opening for me because we went we stopped in Spain for like a couple hours. So that was like technically my first experience outside the country, but it wasn't very long. And then we flew into Djibouti. And then from Djibouti, we went down to Uganda, and we spent like a day in Uganda. In I forget what it's called now. And then I flew up to Central African Republic and like heart of the jungle, like straight up, like got off the plane. We landed on a dirt strip in the middle of the jungle. Oops. And then it was like Africans walking around just doing their thing in like old, like what looked like hand-me-down American clothes, like old basketball jerseys, stuff like that, carrying stuff on their heads. And
Like
it was like
the
National, it
real
was like
deal.
National Geographic Africa, like stuff you see on, you know, TV and movies and stuff like that. And driving to our little camp, it was just mud huts. That was like their town was just like, there was no real hardened structures. And that we were told the only hardened structures that were around was from when I think it was France came down and colonized the area for a long time, and then they eventually abandoned it. So then they kind of like.
Was that where the alligators that they?
Oh no, that was in Ouagadougou.
Damn.
Or Burkina Faso. Yeah, Burkina Faso was the country.
But yeah,
And then
what did they? I mean, that was you should say because it's such a crazy story. Like
so yeah, they had like when we were in Burkina Faso, they have like an attraction where you can go and like hang out. Like they have just like this huge, what seemed like it used to be a lake. It was kind of dried up, but there was still obviously a lot of water. But you could like just walk in there, and there are just hundreds of crocodiles, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and they. You could like, I got to sit on one, and like, all these, there's like 4 or 5, you know, I don't know what you call Burkina Fasoians. Like, I don't know how you would say that. But they had like these sticks, and they would just smack the ground and kind of like control. That's what I mean. They call it that. But they were like telling us the story. They were like, oh yeah, like. I guess they believed that the crocodiles were village elders who had passed and then would come back
reincarnated as crocodiles.
Reincarnate.
So they were sacred.
Yes, and they were like, "Oh, they won't hurt you," and I was like, "Why you got the sticks then?" Yeah. But it was really funny. I did see like because they would there was no fences, no real regulations anywhere, and you could feed them too. They had like chickens that they would give you, and you could like just throw it out there and like feed them, and like sometimes because there were hundreds of them, so there would be like everybody's kind of like talking and doing their thing, like looking at some of them, and then the other ones would like kind of creep up out of the water kind of behind you. And one of them was like getting real close to a group of people, and this dude turned around, smacked the ground with a stick, said some stuff in African, and there was like, and that it just stopped in its tracks, and then just laid down, bloop, right in the sand. And I was like, whoa, that was pretty crazy. They said they would wander up into the village, and they would never hurt anybody ever. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting.
Like any of them times in Africa, did you like ever like fear for your safety?
The only time that ever did happen, we were part of our job was to assess runways. So like we would find dirt strips on imagery that we think we could land planes on, and then our job would be to go out there. We had all these measurement tools, and then we would like get the length and the width of the runways and like determine what kind of planes could land there.
Gotcha.
And we were pretty close. We were in Chad and close to the Libya border, and we landed. We had to go around. There was camels on the runway when we first went to land, but then we landed, and we were in like an unmarked. It was like an all-white Cessna plane, like a little prop, like little toy plane, and we were all wearing civilian clothes. We had big beards, and like we were concealed carry, so we just looked like kind of civilians, you know what I mean? And then the town was like a couple miles away, and as we landed, we saw trucks like rolling up, and my staff sergeant was in charge of me, had me jump off. He's like, started getting the measurements. We got to kind of get out of here pretty quickly. So I started getting all the stuff on had a little mini bike. Yeah. And when I roll back up, the trucks that were coming, I hadn't noticed they parked and boxed our plane in. Oh. And so we couldn't speak their language, and they could not speak ours, and we didn't have an interpreter or anything. So it was like a lot of hand signals and like yelling, and essentially kind of what we got out of the situation was that they wanted us to come. Like we weren't supposed to be there. We were allowed to. We had paperwork saying that we were allowed to be there, but they weren't. Like the language barrier, we couldn't.
They don't understand it, and you're not.
We're just so it was just a lot of like back and forth yelling, like hand signals, and the whole time more and more people from their village are just showing up. So, and we're like kind of like, all right, this is getting a little sketchy. No, but nobody was like looked threatening until like after 15, 20 minutes of this back and forth nonsense, a truck with dudes with guns roll up, and we're like, oh, okay, like this is like, all right. So, and we're like trying to get on the satellite phone, like call our higher ups, be like, hey, like this is the situation. So then, because we couldn't leave, like they boxed our plane in, so there was no way. Like we started like we're like talking to each other. We're like kind of like. I was like, I can jump in this truck throw it in neutral, push it out of the way. We could start the plane and just take off really fast and like get out of here. And the pilots were like, all right, yeah, that sounds pretty crazy, but I mean, like we're down if you're down. So we're like, all
Some
right,
video game stuff right
you know,
there.
like,
Some
we
movie
better
stuff.
like hold off. We better hold off. So we kind of wait, and then this is like it was almost like a Mexican standoff.
Yeah.
But the guys got out of that truck with the guns, and they kind of just surrounded us. They didn't look threatening, but it was still very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
so
'cause
we
you
had.
don't know
Exactly,
like,
like-
how it could go.
And we had go bags in the plane with our real like our rifles and stuff. So we just kind of like putting them together. But it just essentially ended up being like a Mexican standoff for like 4 hours until we finally got somebody on the phone and then got
Talk to
something.
them.
Yeah, we got them talking, and then they had to like print out something that like said we were allowed to be there, and then they got it, and then it was just like a. Oh, big misunderstanding. We're just shaking hands and like it was just like
Taking pictures.
But
And
it's
then-
good that
and then we
they
bounced
did
out of there.
like that,
Oh, yeah.
because they didn't just come in strong arm and
Yeah.
jump to conclusions or nothing like that.
I was just mad because we were supposed to get back to base and go sing karaoke with the French, and that's all I wanted to do. And these people ruined my day. couldn't let me just do my job and get out of there. They had to like keep us there for 4 hours because they didn't know who we were. I don't know.
That's cool stuff, man. Great
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, so let's talk EDM.
Oh, yeah. Life.
Yeah. Okay, so break down the process, like as far as how y'all create, as far as DJing and like for the people, because even I don't know how
Okay.
does all of this stuff work, like for y'all brain, like when you let's say you have a gig, break down your process. Like, all right, I know I need to have this on a flash drive, or I know I definitely got to make sure this song gets in rotation, or
Oh.
like, how do you think about it?
So we've
let you start
established
this.
whoever gets the gig is the one that controls how the vibe is going to be set.
Okay.
We have two totally different styles. My style I love tech house, which is more of a groovy. You can
Kind of 4 on the floor, kick drums.
Yeah.
and
Clean
just-
house music.
Yeah,
yeah. And it's a dance, And his is a little more aggressive.
aggressive. I like dubstep. I like harder bass music. And it's
Which
just,
it's funny because our name Frosty Rage being Frosty seems chill, Rage being.
it's
but
like a
it's kind of
flip-flop.
opposite. Yeah. He always likes to say he's chill. I'm like, you're not chill.
I am super chill. Look how chill I am.
Yeah, he's chill as a cucumber. But yeah, we've established, whoever gets the gig, they'll know how to set the tone and the vibe of it.
And that was a learning process to even get to that point, because
Mm-hmm.
the first couple of gigs that we did have, we didn't really know how to go about it. Like, it was kind of like, all right, well, who's in charge? Like, what do we want to do? Like, I want to do this, you want to do that. So then it was just kind of like,
Bumping heads a little bit.
it was a learning
It's
process.
like an argument within music.
It was, and that's kind of what we landed on now, is just like our sets kind of like embody that struggle of like trying to figure out what we want to do. So we kind of try to throw a little bit of everything of like both of our styles in there. Like,
Yep.
we've gotten to that point where it's like she'll usually start the vibe off because her music is more chill. So then we'll slowly, gradually build to where it gets more and more exciting,
That's a good idea, though.
and then climax at the top, and
And then
then
kind of like,
kind of slowly bring it back down for the
depending
next
if
person.
we're closing out, the night, or
Right.
if somebody's coming after us, we need to make sure that we set it up for them.
Yeah.
So we don't want to leave it at a high and then they come in and it's kind of disrespectful to
It just
no-
depends on who's coming after you too.
exactly.
We've had people come after us at high levels of energy, but yeah, for the most part, that's kind of like our standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
it's like a back to back, within us too.
Yeah, so we'll trade 3 songs, and 3 songs usually is like kind of the standard for a duo DJing this kind of music.
I got you.
Unless somebody's really feeling it, and it's just like, hey, you got this. Because there's times I just want to go dance, so I'll just go out onto the dance floor and then pass out our swag, and then
Right.
and then be like, all right, I gotta go back. It's like, all right, I want to go now. Tag me in.
I know, like in the hip hop world, it's like competition. When you say like somebody's coming behind you, is that the same in that world too, or is everybody like, "Hey, good job, all right, thank you, let me get up here now"? Or
I
how
feel like
does
in
that work?
the EDM world, everyone is super positive,
That's cool.
and looking out for each other. I didn't have my for the headphones. I didn't have the adapter.
Yeah.
And the guy that was before us, he just gave me his. He's like, here, there you go.
Yeah,
Cool.
there's a lot of love.
It's
There's
so
a
much
lot.
love, yeah.
ELE, man. Everybody love everybody. That's
Yeah.
kind of like the yeah.
It's the plur, peace, love, unity, and respect.
Yeah.
It's the,
That was what drew me in a lot about the whole EDM community. Like going to a music festival. Once I went to that first one with Chase, like that one changed my whole world. And then we started going to a bunch. Like, while I was in the military, I still had money, so it's like I was like, I just want to do this all the time. So we started going to festival after festival after festival. I've been to festivals all over the country, all over the world actually. Like, and it's been for the most part just amazing. Like the culture is just.
it's so surreal almost because I've gone now. I can go places by myself, and it's the one place that I feel comfortable going alone. Because if somebody sees me alone, they will invite me. Are you dancing by yourself? Come over. Every once in a while, like I'll go and I'll hang out, but I kind of like doing my own thing and just vibing through. But it's almost like when you're in kindergarten and you go up to somebody and it's like, you want to be my friend? Yes. All right, we're friends. I've met some of my friends to this day just like that. I had Shannon.
Oh, yeah.
She came up and she's like, oh my God, I love your vibe. She's like, I want to be friends with you. And we've been friends for a couple of years now. And there's so many people that I've met within the community, and they're the same camaraderie of the military.
Okay, yeah.
I found that in the EDM world. Like, I can call somebody up at 3 a.m. if I need help, and
And then they right there. That's dope.
And then from the experiences that I've had with just DJing within that realm, yeah, everybody's been like really nice. Like I haven't experienced. I've heard stories, from DJs higher up, whatever, but I haven't experienced anything like that. I've just like everybody's like super nice. You hype each other up, you kind of pump each other up, and gas each other up,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
it's just like everybody's feeling it. So I haven't really experienced that cutthroat type of.
it's like a competition how nice you can be.
But music does that though. Like if it's all bringing each other together, and
It's the point
y'all
of it.
here for the
Yeah.
vibe. So
It's powerful.
Yeah.
wildest party, wildest
Whoa.
festival of all time that either one of y'all have experienced.
Go for it.
The most wildest. I'm talking like best night ever.
Oh,
Well, when I went to EDC Vegas, I was by myself and then ended up at like this mansion party,
Damn.
after party, and also ended up at I think that same night before that ended up at the after party for EDC Insomniac. So it's like the people who work the festival.
Okay.
They had their own little private party. That was amazing. Oh, actually, the LA one. The LA one was that one. Actually, no, yeah. I ended up at this place called the Rave Cave, which when I messaged one of my buddies who's a DJ, I was like, somebody told me about this Rave Cave. He's like, oh yeah, it's invite only.
Okay.
No tagging, posting. They have it like little signs all over saying, you can't invite anyone.
Right.
How I got to that party was I was at a club in LA and I dressed up in my style with my little puppet.
That was the thing that she didn't mention. Like when we go to these festivals,
Right.
we dress up, and I mean like crazy dress up stuff.
Yeah.
Not, it's like these amazing outfits, like where we usually match. So that's something that
You
she
got
didn't
some
mention. Is
pictures and stuff, right?
Oh,
we have
yeah.
tons,
Oh, yeah.
You-
Y'all gonna see.
We'll shout out the social media then, like so you guys can go follow us.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, even when I first met him, I was just like, well, I dress up. And he was like, well, I wear a tank top and shorts. I was like, I can work with that. And then after our first festival, and he completely embraced it. And
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
now he's like, well, what are we wearing? But
What's going on with the LA thing?
yeah, so I used to carry on a puppet. It was a little dinosaur. And people in LA.
That was like your thing.
Oh, yeah, because it's
That's
hilarious.
dope, though. That's dope.
The heck has this random like IKEA $5 puppet.
Mary popping bottles.
Yeah. And I like girls would be, like just standing there posing, and I would photobomb it with the like, "Rawr." And they didn't know what to say, and I'm like, I'm completely sober. I might have had like 5 Red Bulls, just to stay up.
And they think, okay.
Oh yeah. So this,
Everybody thinks she's on drugs like
Yeah.
all the time.
I was just
She
like,
should
no.
be sober as ever.
I wake up like this. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, I like your style. I like what you got going on here. And I'm like, well, all right, it's cool. He's like, do you want to go to the Rave Cave? Thinking that I knew what that was. And I was like, I have no idea. And then I was like, all right, let's. F it, I'll go. So I asked my buddy, I'm like, hey, do you want to come? And he's like, no, I got to work in the morning. I'm like, forget your job. I'm like, just go in hungover. I think this is going to be an amazing experience.
Right.
He's like, no, he's like, I'm going to go home and sleep. So we get to this house, and you walk in the first room. It's cubbies for all your shoes.
Okay.
So you put your shoes up, and then there's this big disco ball, and there's pillows everywhere, and it's people just like lounging around. And then you walk through, and then there was a room it was like the bar, and serve yourself.
Damn.
The next living room, it was Middle Eastern theme, and yeah, I remember there's little bunk beds on the side, and again, just pillows, and there was this like carpet on the ceiling to give it the feel of magic flying carpet. Then you walk through, there's a kitchen, and then there's the room of a mini stage with lights. There was a retractable seat, like pod that you can sit in, and then it brings you up. Wow. Oh, yeah. And that's where I found out about Tech House. I didn't know what that was until that. I'm like, this is what it's all about. Oh my God, I love it. And I didn't want to leave because I'm like, I'm tired, but they're still playing great music. And yeah, and then I was like 8 in the morning. I'm like, all right, I think I should probably go now.
Didn't you have to go back to work as well? In the military?
Is that, was it that one? No, that was a different weekend. I got LOL for that one. But yeah, it was like a movie because there was DJs that were there that are like known DJs.
Okay.
At that time, I didn't know who they were.
Right.
But now I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, dang it.
You was there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Didn't even realize it.
But I like it that way. I like not knowing what DJs look like. So if I do meet them, I'm going to treat them like everyone else.
I like that. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So, but yeah, that was probably one of the most
You said that was in L.A.
L.A.
That's
yes.
crazy. What about you?
Mine, oh man, Electric Forest had to have been that whole entire festival.
Where was that at?
It's in Michigan, Rothbury,
Rothbury,
Michigan.
yeah.
It's on the
Okay.
west coast by the water.
And this one was better than the one in New York?
Yeah,
What
definitely.
made it? Okay, go ahead. Break it
Just
down.
the whole vibe of that place, man.
Yeah.
There's like, it was just amazing. So we did camping. We did VIP camping. So we got a whole setup, like our whole space. And then the guy that camped next to us said he's a local. He'd been going there for 10 years. And because we got there a whole day ahead before you could even go into the actual festival. So you go, you set up your campsite and kind of hang out and vibe out with everybody that's there. This guy next to us was like, I've been coming to this for 10 years. I still haven't seen everything that this place has to offer.
Damn.
And that was already, it was like eye-opening. So then the festival opens up, and it's huge. It's like this humongous area in a tree forest, like a forest. And then they have just lights and all this interactive stuff just placed throughout the forest. It is incredible. Like the people, like everybody was so nice.
And different genres of music
Just the
too.
vibe, yeah. Like they had jam bands during the day. The string cheese incident, like they would play for like 4 hours. We saw T-Pain there.
That's
Damn.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
T-Pain.
Everyone came up for that one because it's like
Shout
old
out
school.
T-Pain.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I forgot about that.
That's crazy.
And then it was like a lot of EDM art, a lot of good DJs, and then just the overall vibe. I think at one point Odessa was playing, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Odessa, but their music is just next level.
They had
good.
the band, right?
They had a drum line come out, so I had like a 13-person drum line come out and playing the drums live, and it was like her and I were dancing, and it just seemed like everything just disappeared, and it was just us and the stage, and it was just a whole like wow.
Yeah.
That
They
was,
even had like in the middle of the forest a piano, and anybody could just go up and play. And then you can set up a hammock in the trees, just wherever you found a spot. You set up your own hammock, and it was at nighttime, just how they lit
the
up
lights,
everything.
Yeah, everything was super lit up. It was like a neon forest of just excitement and fun and music and
that
great
was
people.
that was our first
Festival
electric
together.
forest and our first festival together. Yeah.
So that had to have been the most fun, the wildest party for me. It was a good time.
Word. Okay. All right, so let's get ready to do the product placement portion of the episode. Yay. So, all right, world. So, as you know, the first episode, we shouted out Frosty Rage when we had the mask on. So, we have them here now in the flesh. So, I want y'all to go ahead and, like, promote y'all stuff and let the world know again, like, how they can get a hold of it and everything like that.
Let's see, we do have our fans, which if I have time, I do try to put the clacking deactivated. Because what people don't know is not to clack the fan.
She feels really strongly about this.
I do. When somebody does clack their fan, I go up to them and I'm like, hey, I get lost in the music and I'm just, lost from the world. And then when you clack your fan, you're bringing me back to reality.
No, no.
I'm not ready to come back to reality. And so for the most part, they respect that and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So then they'll stop. Then you have the few that just don't care.
Bros.
And
Usually.
yes, just, it's their world and we're just living in that. And they'll keep clacking. And it's like, okay, you're not, sir. You're just not being. And majority of people don't like that either. So it's very selfish people who do that. So I try to at least, put the clacking deactivated fan or label on there.
Okay.
So we're working on putting all this merch. We have a lot of merch, actually. We have like these. We have pins. We have masks.
Masks.
We have a lot of print-ons, so like we can almost print our logo onto like anything that you can print something onto.
I got you.
We have our website, so thefrostyrage.com. Instagram is thefrostyrage. So follow that or go on there and hit us up if you want any kind of merch.
You already know I'm gonna have that stuff flashing
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
You
So
already-
just hit us up, message us, whatever. We're still working on like kind of streamlining the whole process to where
Okay.
if you hit us up or just order it straight from the website and then we could just kind of ship it to you or send it to anybody. But
It's a learning process, yeah.
Yeah, we don't really have that kind of setup in that
Yeah.
way. But if you still want something, we'll get it to you. If you want it bad enough, we'll get it.
I like that though. I like the fact that y'all doing it. Like even though it's like figuring it out, you're still figuring it out.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's an uphill battle when it comes to that stuff. But if you got a vision, you see that it'll work, and you got to work for it. So
Well, that's definitely all her too. Her humbleness. She has her master's degree in business. So as soon as we started up this whole idea and the project, like she was on top of everything
That's
with
dope.
setting up the merchandise, getting it all together. She reached out to the guy about our logo and got the whole logo thing for us. So she's been on her game with the whole business aspect of it. So
Right.
so
Putting that degree to use.
shouts out to her.
Yeah.
like you real organized.
I try to be as much as possible, yeah. I got a lot going on.
In that aspect, maybe.
Which now I'm like, all right, now we can have you, I'm trying to pass off more so that, he
Yeah,
knows
well, we
more.
just took that business class, so
You
like
already,
we,
there's
it was-
a lot going on.
my head feels like a balloon full of information. Just try not to pop it,
Which excites me. I'm like, that now he knows more. So it's like, all right, perfect. There, yes, yeah.
Your turn.
You got one class done. Then now you're an expert. It's like the military. You do it one time, now you're an expert.
Yep.
All right, so world, y'all see that? Y'all go check out Frosty Rage. Go follow them. Go support the merch because they are out here doing it. I'm telling you. Yep. So back. All right. We're gonna talk about the Frosty Rage. Where do y'all see yourselves like having this brand going next? You know how people say 5 years. I'm gonna say a year.
A year?
Yeah,
like, what do you,
a year.
like, what do you really want to see happen with the brand?
See us on festival lineups, stages, big stages.
Being on
That's-
tour.
Yeah, hopefully that's the goal. So something else that I don't think she's talked about yet is the fact she's going to school for fashion design. So that's kind of like what the Frosty Rage as a whole kind of embodies is not only music but the fashion aspect of it as well. So like we kind of blend our two worlds together, and
Dope.
yeah, so like we
Ideally, I thought about once we start going on tour before our show, we would have like a meet and greet, but something people can sign up and we can make something. I'm learning how to sew. My sewing skills are not the best, but I could always teach somebody what I do know.
Right.
And working with our hands, I think we've gotten away from that. So being able to have like one-on-one time with a group of people, make either an outfit or decorate an outfit, and
she's
then
very crafty.
That's
yeah,
dope.
very
That's
thrifty.
dope.
Yeah. And so, yeah, ideally it would be, while on tour, having those little meet and greets and little workshops beforehand, and then wear whatever we did make to that show, and go from there.
Put us on big stages. Music wise, yeah, we've got a lot a lot of cool stuff. We got a couple of collaborations with you guys coming up.
Yeah.
And I want to shout out you guys too, because you and Michael, man, you guys have been working really hard. You guys are some of the hardest working dudes I know at Full Sail right now.
Appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. We just trying, man. That's all. We just trying to put it out there. All right, so with this show being titled, you know, the Fly Talk TV, and the Fly is for Forever Love Yourself. So in life, we all know that, you know, everything is not what you see. You know, people go through things. So I want you guys to either name a time where it was like really rough, or it's like, damn, I'm bummed out. Like, how I'm gonna get through this, and like break it down for the people, because I'm pretty sure whatever it is you're gonna speak into the mic, somebody can relate to it, or it may be able to help somebody. So, and then just like basically give a description on how you went through it, how it made you feel, and how did you overcome and get past it.
I would have to say I was married before, and when we got, I've been married twice. My first divorce was the hardest. My ex-husband, he moved in with my best friend, and there wasn't anything going on. It was the fact of, like, he moved in for his benefit, and then I always felt that, I'm like, you know, they're my friends. They will come see how I'm doing, and they never did. And I felt completely alone, deserted by all my friends, and I was super depressed, but nobody knew that. They, you know, I just put on a happy face, and I would write positive affirmations on the wall, like smile, and just to remind myself, it's like I was faking the funk. And I started doing a lot of baking at that time. I felt if I could make somebody else smile, then it will make me smile. Damn. So I did a lot of, I made a lot of mini cupcakes for people at work when it was their birthday. I love birthdays in general, and it's my way to say that I'm happy that you were born. And sometimes people, like, especially when we're adults, we don't, nobody takes the time to even just get a card or just acknowledgement. So I always try to make people feel, you know, it's like, you know, I am happy that you were born. And so I did a lot of baking. And at that time, my roommate, TJ, there were times, that's how I got my DJ equipment, because one time he couldn't pay his rent, so then he gave me his DJ equipment instead. Damn. And I still have that. I still have that deck. But then just telling myself, and before that, I could never be alone. I could never do anything by myself. I always depended on the person I was with and their friends to kind of fill that void. Right. But after that experience of being completely alone and having to learn how to be by myself and keep myself company, and I'm so thankful now that I went through it. It was
because it gave you strength.
Oh yes. Now I don't depend on anyone. On if I want to go out, I'm going to go out. I'm not going to let someone hinder that experience, which is why now I'll go see a DJ. I'll go to a show by myself, because I'm not going to let just not having somebody with me. Right. And when I go places by myself, I meet so many people. Right. So yeah, it was hard to go through alone, but yeah, telling myself and kind of faking the funk, and yeah, I had a whole wall. It was like a journal, which I didn't realize it was until people started reading it when they come to my house. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a little private. Yeah. But then it's also on a wall, so right. It's inevitable to see. But yeah, just every day, just telling myself to smile and making other people happy helped me be happy. And then still to this day, my favorite thing is making people smile. I'm one silly banana. I love being silly, whether you're laughing at me or with me, as long as you're laughing. I love it. I always wanted to be a clown. And I know he's just like, please don't be a clown.
She could be a clown. She just doesn't need to dress up like one.
Yeah. I'm a clown in my own way, which I've realized when I go out and I have my little pouch, and I carry around inflatable microphones. Yeah. And I'll see somebody singing, and I'll just like blow it up, and I'll give it to them, and I'm just like, and they're like, and then they'll take it and start singing, and I'm like, yes.
Like a literally inflatable.
But yes.
She has a bunch of them.
Yeah, I buy in bulk. Yeah, I might not be able to afford it, but it's like, I'm making other people. And
But it makes people day.
yes,
though, like.
and it's even better when they try to give it back. And I'm like, no, keep it. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's it's the smallest things. And then I've had this one girl in Norfolk. She's like, you just made my night magical. And I was like, that. I appreciate that. So it's like, okay, my effort is going somewhere. So yeah.
Shouts out to Norfolk.
Yeah.
That's right. From there.
Oh, yeah. That place is adorable.
Bro, Norfolk's wild. It's two sides.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had some good times.
What about you, man?
I don't know if mine's gonna be as elaborate as that. The most recent time that I can think of that I was really down was kind of in the middle of the quarantine time where
rough on the
we
line.
were forced to be alone. I've been a very social person, like, for my entire life, really. And then being forced to be alone, like, she was deployed. So she went back to Qatar a second time without me. Like,
Third time. That was my third time.
Third
there.
time there.
Yeah.
So, like, we were kind of like, we weren't able to really talk as much as we wanted to. And then I was in essentially a 3-story house, like, with no one, by myself. And, kind of cut off from the world. And I did a lot of soul searching, and it was a lot of like depression and just kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Like even with music, because at that point I was making music and DJing and stuff, and I had a cool setup in my house, and my studio was awesome.
Well, that's when I sent the lights and the
you helped me out a
the
lot.
aromatherapy. Like, I got him a essential oils thing. I was like, well, maybe we can set something up, and some what was it? The tapestries and
Yeah.
the bean bag.
Yeah,
dope.
she helped me out. So yeah, the overarching I don't know if overarching. Anyway, the message that I would say is to just, if you're struggling with anything, with like depression or just anything really, like, just reach out to somebody. Like, there are people in the world that love and care about you, whether you want to believe that or not. There is at least one person for everyone that they can talk to. So
And we started doing yoga.
we were doing yoga together virtually. Like,
Yeah,
as
so
much as we could.
we'd have the phone, and it's like,
So-
all right, press play, and then we press play at the same time, and then we would do the yoga and
So, yeah.
like watch a movie or
Yeah, definitely that helped a lot. And then actually, like, when we finally did get to go back to work, like that, like, I didn't realize how important for me personally just interacting with other humans was. So that was a huge thing for me. But
That's weird.
yeah, reach out and keep going. Don't ever stop doing what you love either.
Yeah.
That can be on there. Yeah.
And that's like one of the keys, like, to this thing, like what you were saying, reach out to people, because it's always somebody that's there, whether they see it or not. They gotta, but like, I just had an experience recently, and a friend of mine, she's like, I need to, like, reach out to you more, because she was going through something. Hold on one second.
You're good.
No, but she was going through something that's like suicide. I would have never known it.
Right.
And then you going through all this stuff, and I'm like, you know better.
Yeah.
You know better. Like, we all here for you. Like, not just me, but other people that know. And it's like, it sucks to see you go through that, because you don't have to. Whereas, like, just one conversation could make your outlook look a little different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
It feels like, you don't want to, like, burden other people with your problems. You should be able to, I feel like what society kind of preaches is to, like, figure it out, or just deal with everybody's got issues, I don't know. I guess that's not really society. It might just be how I feel about, like, burdening others with what I've got going on, because I know everybody else has also got a lot going on. So it just makes it hard. But
I think sometimes it's hard people to accept their own truth, and it's hard to admit. If you're not a person who can admit easily to if there's something wrong, or if you're, just with anything, it's going to be harder to admit to someone. And if you don't know what kind of help you need, I think I went through my own with my own dark. I love life a lot. Like, I try to see positive literally in everything. And when I was going to school online and no interaction with anyone, I knew I loved interacting with people. But then at one point, I was in Tampa and he's in Orlando, and I was like, I need you. Like, I was freaking out. It's so weird for me loving life and just having that darkness completely just be a blanket. And he immediately drove over and was just like, crying profusely, ugly cries. But it was
I just can't help it.
yeah, and yeah, that's when I'm like, I need to at least go to one class, you know, at school, because just being around people is definitely a necessity. Yeah, and it's sometimes it's like we don't even have to talk. You could just be there.
That's it.
Just physically be there, and I think that is the minimal, the most basic thing somebody needs is just, hey, just come over, sit down. You know, I'm gonna be doing this, but you know, if you want to talk, we can talk. If not,
That's a big deal though, because I noticed for me, like being in these four corners, if I do this for too long, it's like I feel better at school. And nobody want to be in there just doing work, but it's like, yo, just the environment, just the people, like just being there is like, damn. I literally feel the shift of like flipping a switch from the moment of leaving school and coming in here dolo, and it's like, well, I could drink and feel better, but no, like that's just temporary, you know, that's just a betting. It's not really the real thing. But I think also when it comes to other people though, like when of course when you meet and start like having relationships with people, you can kind of gauge. I know for me, I look at it like, man, I need to look out to this person. Like, I know a few people like that, and they're younger. They're always gonna be young, because what can I tell an older person? I mean, maybe something, but it fits more for a younger person where you like, I need to make sure they're good. Like, and I think that came from the military.
Put them under the wing.
Yeah, exactly,
Come on,
exactly. But in doing that, I always make sure you can talk to me. I always let them feel comfortable enough to know, like, look, man, I'm not no judge. Who am I to judge anybody? I will be there to help and support. Right. So, like, that recent situation, they kind of threw me. I'm like, God, you know better. Like, I'm always here. Like, I wouldn't have never. So, it's like, but, you know, all we can do is keep striving for the good times. Yeah. But it's been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure to have you. You know, we've been trying to line this thing up. So we finally was able to get it done. Yeah.
I'm excited. Thanks for having us, man.
You know
Appreciate
it.
Yeah.
So, on to the world. Until next time, this has been another edition of the Fly Talk TV podcast. And then we will see y'all the next go around. Yeah.